I'm thinking about this thing I've been talking about in relation to what it is to be a self, and how components of the self could be said to map onto perceptual or sensory modalities. And I think before I've talked about a kind of visual sense of self, an auditory self. It's just a hypothesis, really. I don't think it has any value. But one of the things that came out for me about that, one of the things for me that came out about that is this relationship between what might be called a core self and this understanding of a set of sensory modalities. Because certainly the way the sensory modalities actually function, it's kind of as a series of concentric circles. You know, your eyesight stretches to the horizon or to the end of the universe or something like that. Your auditory sense is a somewhat smaller concentric sphere around some notional central point. Your olfactory sense is a bit closer in. Your sense of touch is the extent of one's arms that you can reach out, and I guess related to that, your sense of being touched and things like heat and cold operate at the surface of the skin. And then you've got a series of interoceptive senses beyond that, including things like taste, I think, which is interior, but the ability to hear one's own body motions and to feel one's body in motion, again, is a kind of interoceptive sense. And I'm thinking of this as a series of concentric circles, and I'm just thinking about how the body itself might represent that, because it seems to me the body itself, above and beyond any kind of cognition, it's and certainly above and beyond any kind of conscious analysis of this, is that the body seems to have a set of priorities when it comes to identifying itself and protecting itself. There are protective mechanisms that, outside of any kind of acculturation or any kind of knowledge, there are some kind of processes that the body undergoes to protect itself. So when we're under a physical threat, you know, if somebody comes at you with a stick or something looms at you in the darkness, there's a set of priorities which kick in. The exterior extremities either shut down completely, so you tend to shut your eyes, or they withdraw, so you pull your hands in and curl yourself up into a smaller space. You know, your hands and your arms curl into yourself, almost as if they're curling around some kind of core. You know, the internal organs, the viscera, seems to be being protected, perhaps even at the expense of the extremities, or at least the extremities aren't being protected in the same way. And then something like the experience of being very cold, I'm thinking, you know, if you're stuck on the side of the Andes mountains, naked, let's say, what will start to happen is that, again, without any kind of conscious control or any conscious setting of priorities about what constitutes any kind of real self, your body will start to undergo processes which effectively reroute blood supply from the extremities, from the fingers and the toes and the earlobes, and send that blood toward the inner organs of the body to maintain the homeostasis of the central organs. So again, the body itself seems to be making some priorities about what constitutes the most important parts of itself. It seems to have a concept of a core self outside of any kind of cognitive process, and it protects that core, and that core is the viscera, the internal organs, those bits which might or might not be open to interoception, but might be beyond that, but either way form some kind of consistent central functional core to our being, seems to me.